O'Reilly! You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge, just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At some point, I'll figure like we'll get an intro so I can stop saying no music, no intro. We haven't got there yet, but we will. Another episode of hashtag Saints Twitter podcast. As always, joined by my boy Ryan. We, just getting through it, man. Just getting through this pandemic the best we can. And there's a sense that football is gonna happen. Like the NFL and the NFLPA came to like an agreement in terms of like safety measures. It's unprecedented, man. It's wild. But we figure we get on, rap a little bit and talk football because it seems like it's on the horizon. Baseball's back. The NBA starting back on Thursday. It's wild, man, and it's the world we're living in right now. But how you doing, man?
Well, I'm good, brother. I'm just laying low, chilling. Pandemic, whatever. It don't matter to me, man. Like I'm gonna be at home regardless. You heard me?
Right. This is nothing new for us.
I'm good, man. Like only thing I miss, like I tweeted like a week ago, man. I just want to go like sit in a movie theater with like some $15 popcorn.
Absolutely not.
Big ass Coke and just like watch just a stupid action movie. It could be like a Michael Bay, just ridiculous action movie. Then just go sit in like a Tex-Mex restaurant and just eat some chips and
salsa,
drink salsa and drink some margaritas and just not have to think about it. That's like the first thing I'm gonna do, man. Whenever like a year or two from now, when all this shit is said and done, I just can't wait, bro. I'm so tired of this. But it is, man.
And it's funny because both you and me are, I won't say we're introverts, but like we are kind of like stay at home, like lay low in the cut. You're notorious for not going out when you're asked to go out. So while this doesn't affect us tremendously, it's still, like you said, just like if you just want to go out and just do something, right, with your person or even fucking by yourself, like that's all gone. Like there's nothing. Like there's nothing going on. So first things first, I would feel remiss if we didn't talk about, and I wanted to bring him up last episode, completely slipped my mind. But a couple of weeks ago, I think at this point, it's like 3 or 4 weeks ago, Tony Pauline on one of his podcasts, or maybe it was one of his podcasts, pretty much said that for current free agent Jadeveon Clowney, that on his list of teams, his two teams that he would want to sign for are the Cowboys and the Saints. And that started getting traction and stuff like that. And then yesterday, you basically had Michael Thomas basically saying after the whole Jamal Adams trade went down, him getting traded to the Seahawks, that, if it's not about Clowney to the Saints, he doesn't want to hear it, kind of just adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be this year, right? Like this would be the year that the Saints would absolutely sign Jadeveon Clowney to like a 1-year super crazy contract that fits him under the salary cap, and then football is canceled after like 6 games. Like it would be the season. Like it would be our luck.
Oh, of course, it's gonna happen, man. We're gonna sign him, and he's not gonna do nothing for like the first 2 games, and everybody's gonna be like, "Where the hell is Clowney? What a bust!" And then he's just gonna go on a monster tear, and the defensive line is gonna be like the most dominant defensive line in the league. And then like something's crazy gonna happen, and the NBA is gonna have to like NFL is gonna like postpone until the further notice, man. It's like, what? I can see it already.
this year. Like it's when we joke about it, but it would be the most Saints shit ever.
Like you can see us talking about this shit 10 years from now. Like, man, remember the Corona year? Man, defensive line was crazy.
We had on paper probably the most talented Saints team in history. Just but hypothetically speaking, with good vibes and I guess with optimism, if he were to sign with the Saints, and let's say a full NFL season and playoffs, that all that happens, just the addition to him on the defensive line, and I know that he has his detractors and whatever, but he does things at his position, and maybe not as consistently as someone would like to see. But I don't know if you caught the game when he was a Seahawk and he played against the 49ers where he won that game for the Seahawks.
Oh yeah.
And
if you even saw his stat line, it wasn't that impressive from that game. But all you had to do was watch the game, and he dominated. He dominated. You know what I'm saying?
Dominated.
But that's what he's done. That's been him since college, really. Like,
right.
If you watch just every snap of every game, you'd be like, oh, he's okay. But like, if you could make a cut up, and it's like, whoa, like this dude here. And it's funny because he reminds me in some ways, not always, but some ways,
Marcus Davenport.
To first.
Yeah.
Like he's just the way he wins. He's a power guy. The way he wins inside and all that stuff. Like that's, and how you kind of want more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like, so they're very similar. So if you just added him, oh man, like
it's half of you take Clowney, you take Marcus Davenport, and you kind of like you put them into one person, like one player, like you combine them, and you have the defensive end that you would want.
Right, exactly.
And with their injury history, like hypothetically, if the Saints were to sign them, you would essentially be getting probably half of them, like 6 games. Like you're gonna get you're getting your one right. player.
Like I saw somebody where like, oh, we might not have room. I'm like, trust me, they'll be needed at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like even with Clowney, you'll find yourself probably needing somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You had tweeted earlier, just like if you add him to the Saints, to that defensive line, and I know I'm a big proponent of you got to throw in so many of the, if healthy, but you would have Clowney, Anyamata, Rankins is healthy, Cam he's going to give you everything, all he has. And then you Shy Tuttle, Mario Edwards, who I forget's even on the team sometimes.
Yeah, I forget all about him, man. Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown, I forgot all about him.
It's just the Trigger Trey, who, for where he was picked in the draft, like he's a nice little player. Like he's not, he's probably not a starter, but he's that guy that'll come in and give you good pass rush snaps, especially late in the game. Then we got old Zach Bond over there. We don't even know what we got with him. Yeah, completely unknown. And that's a defensive line where you can rotate NASCAR package, shift Cam and Jadeveon inside. Like you can do whatever you want, from a defensive line standpoint, and just put your hands behind your back and just tell them just to go get it.
Just go. Yeah. That would be just, man, like it would be illegal for us not to have a season if they made that happen. Like that would just be terrible. Like, come on. Screw them COVID deaths.
Speaking of that, one of the wildest things, not wild, because I guess it's not that wild in theory, but Lou Williams leaving the NBA bubble, telling the NBA to leave the bubble. This man goes to a strip club to get some wings and to see some titties. Lou, I get it.
I ain't mad at all. I ain't mad one bit.
I just think that just highlights how difficult, and again, like the NBA has some type of, you can say if it's working or not, some type of structure in place where it's trying to just limit and reduce and the season for it to, and they're just trying to finish the last half of the season and do the playoffs. Like they're not even trying to play a full season, which obviously the NFL is. But it's just the difference of like people even athletes, you're expecting them to abstain from being athletes or being men or whatever, and that's being human, and that's just hard. That's rough.
And you telling, dudes worth millions and millions of dollars, dudes who pretty much do what they want. You know what I'm saying? For the grand scheme of things, they get to do what they want. You tell them they can't go in.
Dying in your apartment?
Oh no, that's my wife. She watching TV over there. She's like, oh, somebody must have got killed on a TV show.
I was worried. I was like, someone's dying in Ryan's apartment. This man just pocket.
My bad.
You're good. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, players with millions and millions of dollars who you're asking them just to be like a domesticated cat, basically.
Right. Yeah, it's hard for us, like just a regular dude, to do that. But imagine, if you're used to just doing what you want, you know what I'm saying, rolling up to the strip club, making it rain, and getting you some fresh wings, and you know what I'm saying, like, man, like that dude just wanted to live a little bit for a second,
The most hilarious thing though was like the cover up, like I don't even know who caught him, like the rapper, whoever he was with, like posted it, and then like he deleted the post. It was like, oh, like I'm just missing Lou. Like that was from an old pic, and like the match was from like a quarantine.
We're like, nah, bro, that shirt is brand
new. But and part of me's kind of upset. I'll give the NFL credit to a small degree in terms of I won't say they did make concessions with the PA to be able to provide more player safety, because initially like it sounded like the NFL was like, man, like if it dies, it dies. Like if y'all get sick, y'all get sick. And the players weren't budging on that. The players were steadfast, and they wanted some type of protection. We even had as if I work for the NFL, had the first player opt out, the doctor from the Chiefs, and he's like, you know what, I'm doing what I feel is important. He's not playing for this. He's not playing this upcoming season. I just think and I wouldn't be surprised if, there might be, some star players even on the Saints or other teams, not star, but like there's going to be some players that are going to opt out it's going to hurt some teams. It's bound to happen.
Well, yeah, I could definitely see it, man. And if you, just look at the numbers. You got how many football players? 1,900 or so. Just do the math. Some of them have some kind of health issues, even though they are a statistical anomaly. Football players in general, athletically and physically, they are a statistical anomaly. They still, suffer a lot of the same health issues that we all suffer from. So, it just won't be beneficial to them to take the field or take part in it. So, it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to be a weird season, man. It's going to, and everybody's going to have to deal with it, So, however long the season goes, my biggest thing is what happens when, like, the whole QB room gets COVID-19, or, is there going to be a QB room, or will like play like position players, will they meet on Zoom? Like, I don't know, man. Like, all this stuff is just like,
it's just weird, man. It's just weird.
But I guess since they're going to be getting tested every day for like the first 2 weeks, and so I guess they're going to be, since they're going to be practicing together, I guess it won't hurt for them to meet together. But I don't know, man. This is just unprecedented. There's no historical uh, point in time we can look back and say, okay, this is what happened when this happened. No, we don't. You don't know. It's
No.
just so anybody saying, "Oh, this is gonna be fine." No, they don't know.
No one knows.
No one
And
knows.
the players that get, at least initially the players that are going to get hurt the most are undrafted free agents and late round picks. Like it's like we talked about this before when all this started. Like it's almost, I won't say it's impossible. It's going to be like we've already seen it that, I believe training camp rosters have to be at like 80,
Yeah,
90, 80, and teams have started cutting players to get to that before training camp starts. And a lot of the players that are getting cut are undrafted free agents. Like,
yeah. Because it's like, what do? I mean, you got to cut them down to 80. So all you can do is cut. All you can do is play. Teams have to go back and look at their scouting reports and look at their grades and cut the 10 least graded players that they have on the roster. And maybe those players could have turned out to be very good once they put on NFL pads and got an NFL scheme. They don't never know, but you can only go off the information you have. So it's just a weird situation. So no preseason. I don't remember the last time there wasn't a preseason.
Man, that's right. There is no preseason games.
Like, think about like Devontae Harris last year. No, we're not gonna see Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston.
Nope,
see what they do.
Not the. It's all going to be training. It's all going to be training camp. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these quote unquote battles on teams are going to be decided in training camp, and that's it.
And even then, with training camp, it's not like the NFL has had like a harsher media policy for this training camp. So it's not like we're going to be getting a stream of tweets, or there won't be fans at training camp to be able to give you analysis of what they saw. It's just going to be straight up, your media will write something at the end of the training camp day and try to, give you a rundown of what happened, which is fine, but it's just going to be different. It's going to be very different. It's kind of going to be kind of old school.
That said, it's just it's just wild. That's all I can. It's just wild. Why is someone blowing fireworks on July 26th? Why, God? So I know we have a lot of LSU fans that listen to this podcast, so I guess we should hit on this topic of Jamal Adams getting traded yesterday from the Jets to the Seattle Seahawks for 2 first-round picks.
And a third.
Jesus Christ. It's such a – I mean, it's not like the Jets use their first-round picks wisely anyhow.
Yeah.
But I would just say from a Seahawks perspective, and maybe I'm not as high on Jamal Adams as, like, the league is, and I might get people in my mentions, LFU homers, whatever. But, like, he's a very, very good young player, like a very, very young safety. But, like, to me, that's a haul that a player like Ndakwe, I can't even say his last name, from the Jags should get as a premium pass rusher. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just weird to me. Like, that's – and the Seahawks are going to use him all over the place.
Yeah, he's going to ball. I mean, he's going to ball for him.
For sure. Absolutely.
But it's still like I'm trying to remember, what did Darius Slade command when he got traded to the Eagles?
For the Eagles. It wasn't close to that.
It wasn't close to that. And that's a shutdown corner.
And a shutdown corner to me is always more important than a hybrid strong safety.
A hybrid strong safety. Like he's not even an Earl Thomas like deep safety.
Yeah, he's not even a true free. And so I just and then to give up 2 first-round picks and a third, and he's gonna want to get paid like an elite safety. Is
like I think he's good this year. He's probably gonna be quiet, but next year he's gonna want a contract.
That's a lot.
Okay, but beyond all that, because bro, go get your money. I don't care. Like, do your thing. But what's weird to me is just like the leverage, like Seattle had to know the Jets were trying to get rid of him because he just came out with the comments earlier this day.
It was like 2 days before. Like he
like
dropped
okay, like
the
he
diss
dropped
track with
this track
Manette.
on Adam Gase, you know. And he already said that he wants to trade. He wants to trade. So why not? Like, what was the hurry to hurry up and get it? Like, you got this long training camp, this whole build-up period. You got time. Like, it won't no football be getting played until like mid-September. Like, why rush? You know, like why not just wait and just see, and just keep working the Jets until you can get something better. But man, it's the Seahawks. I'm just kind of mad. I'm like, I wish we got more for the Jimmy Graham.
Right? Like, it's funny. This trade, the Seahawks trading for Jamal Adams reminds me of when Jimmy Graham was in his prime and completely tearing up teams. Which is this now. This people who maybe are listening to this, who don't remember the prime Jimmy Graham, prime years, is that he was so dominant that the Bucks spent a top 10 pick on Mark Barron simply because they wanted someone to stop Jimmy Graham. Like that's how insanely Graham good was when he was with the Saints. It reminds me of that in that to the Seahawks, they're like, okay, we got our Kittle stopper. Like we got a player that can match up with Kittle in the run game and in the pass game and maybe like nullify him when we play the 49ers, which I'm not trying to downplay the significance and the importance of that, but the price that they paid to do it still is very confounding to me. Like it's a
it's a lot, but the way if you want to look at the Seahawks draft the last couple of years, like they don't really knock anybody, they don't blow anybody away with their first round picks either. So
that's true.
I guess maybe they just kind of looked at it like, hey, let's just get a good player in the building, which is not a bad strategy. Just collect good players. They need it, especially on defense. And I still think, I think Seattle, I think they're one of the like top 5 teams as far as it's going to be in the mix at the end of the season. Barron is one and all that stuff. But
I mean, for sure. To me, that it's just because of number 3, man. Like I never count them out because of him.
That dude, he's ridiculous. And they got a nice offense, man. Like if you look at the offense, it's not bad. Like they got some weapons, and if they
do, like we say this, people say this every year about them. Like you have to kind of ignore the offensive line, but they've been making that work since how long now? Like it just they know what's bad, and Russell still does his thing. So
exactly. But the defense is just not what it used to be.
Yeah, the pass rush seriously lacking. They still have
Bobby Wagner. They have no pass rush unless they get Clowney back. I mean, if you go look at the names on their depth chart on the defensive line, it's like, ooh.
They have. Let me see. I know they have Puda forward. They have good players in terms of run stopping, but like get out the passer, nothing.
And you saw that last year,
But how do you look at it, from the Jets' perspective? Like, it's a full win for them, like 100% a win in terms of the draft compensation that they got back. But like,
it's a win for the next coach next year. and if McDougal, whatever his name is, McDouglas, the GM, if he's still there, it's a win for him too. For Adam Gase, I mean, maybe he liked it because he got a player that he doesn't like or that doesn't like him out the building. So, but Gase won't be there. Gase won't be there in a year or two. He's just not a good head coach, man. Like we saw it with the Dolphins. I mean, it's not like he had an awful run with the Dolphins, but his whole thing was coming to the Dolphins like, oh, he's this QB whisperer. He got Jay Cutler right. He worked with Peyton Manning, that's Peyton Manning's boy, and blah, blah, blah. And Ryan Tannehill saw no growth with him that entire time. Then Ryan Tannehill leaves, go to the Titans, and, played himself into a mega QB deal.
Same thing for Kenyon Drake.
Drake was a jag. He was just another guy. Even though when he was in Alabama, he was like a nice little piece.
Correct.
Was a jag with the Dolphins, and literally like the week after he gets traded to the Cardinals, he goes off
Goes off.
against the Seahawks or the 49ers. I can't remember.
I believe it was the full. I want to say it was the 49ers.
I think it was the 49ers. I mean, he went off, man.
And
he got franchise tagged.
Yeah, he got a transition tag.
Transition tag, yeah.
He got transition tagged and is making a nice, hefty sum for, I think he's making like $9 million, $10 million for running back or something like, which is that's high.
Yeah, man. We are not the Jets.
No, we hashtag. It's so funny because me and you still use that hashtag, and I can almost guarantee you, no one knows where it comes from. Shout out to former Saints linebacker and former Jet, Jonathan Vilma. I forgot the context, but all I remember.
I don't even remember the context it was.
But all I remember him saying is, "We are not the Jets." I don't remember what it was, man. And this was back when he was still on the team, so this was a while ago. Yeah. And to this day, we still say hashtag we are not the Jets, bro. Can't. Speaking of Adam Gase, Devontae Parker, like he was kind of like a muddling receiver, didn't know, I loved him coming out of Louisville. That's the player I wanted the Saints to draft over Pete. And, he had his up and downs in Miami, and then Gase leaves. He just blossoms. I remember week 17, week 16, he gave Stephon Gilmore
cooking him
the business.
Cooking him.
Gilmore had no answers for Devontae Parker. It's just the meritocracy in NFL. Adam Gase was cool with Peyton Manning, and that has lasted him 6 years.
Yeah. That just shows you, man. It's a ridiculous business, man. Like I think it was Michael Lombardi that said it's not, it's nothing to do with talent or coaching or nothing like that. It's just politics. Just who you know, the good old boy network, your media connects and your agent connects and all that stuff. Get your name out there. Owners. People think these owners are super smart people, and they might be smart depending on what industry they work in, but they just like us, man. They look at the media, they're like, hey, who's this guy? He has a hot name, let's bring him in. Why is everybody talking about this guy?
So we kind of touched on training camp a little bit. I know that Nick, I think this evening, tweeted just like how training camp's going to even unfold. Do you want to just talk about just the semantics and just of how it's all going to go down with your training camp for this season?
Yeah, so it looks like the start is on the 28th, and then from the 28th through the 31st, it's basically just going to be like virtual meetings and COVID testing, and then beginning of August.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see how. It wouldn't shock me with all this COVID testing that's upcoming if there's a large number of players that, not a large number, but there's going to be some positive tests from some upper echelon players that's going to happen. I can guarantee that.
Just based on statistics, it's just going to be a fact. So just like when the NBA when they first did their first testing, there were 90-something players or something that had. It could have been more than that had that tested positive. So I would guess that they're going to be a plus players that test positive on the first week. So, prepare yourself for that, people, and it's going to be players, So, but once you get past that part, those guys get quarantined and then you can kind of work with your way through. And then August, they do the physicals and all that stuff. And then from the 3rd through the 11th, they have this, it's very regulated ramp-up period into strength and conditioning and meetings and on-field conditioning and all that stuff. Still no football being played, and really you won't see football starting until August 12th. That's the ramp-up period, and then they don't zone starting August 17th. So that's when the padded practices start. They only 14 padded practices throughout that entire period. So
Okay,
the
so
coaches ain't gonna like that shit. But
padded practices August 17th. The season starts what, September something 20th,
yeah,
something.
right.
As not even someone who ever played anything professionally, and I've said it on the podcast before, but the number of injuries that's gonna happen is it's just bound to happen. Like,
Yeah.
you're asking professional athletes from like to take their bodies from basically I'm surprised we haven't seen more. I mean, we saw a little bit with the NBA, but I think obviously the NBA is less strenuous on the body compared to football. But you're asking athletes to take their bodies from not like from a position of stopping, but not the same type of ramp up with training camp and practices and off season OTAs, mini camps, blah 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 blah. And then you're just gonna ask them to be like, all right, here's basically a month of training camp, and then go out and play actual football games with no preseason.
Yeah.
Like that is
Ugh.
that's dangerous, man.
Like when they do get to week 1, man, it's going to look. I have no idea what we're going to see. Like, are they going to be rusty? Well, some people are saying all the defenses are going to be ahead of offenses. Some people say offenses are going to be ahead of defenses. It could just be sloppy all over. Then you got to think of the preseason. That's how the NFL pretty much practices having football games, like with the refs and everybody that works in the stadium
and whatever whatever the new rules or whatever
Then you got to think about the refs. I'm sure they're going to be at training camp, trying to get some work in. But I mean, imagine the refs. It's not like they've been having a hell of a job lately, anyway. So you imagine rusty refs coming into the season. So man, I just said, ooh Lord, that first. Man, I'm just expecting some ugly mess, man, at the start of the season. Like, screw anybody trying to predict who wins week 1 or whatever. It doesn't. That prediction means nothing because we don't know what's going to happen week 1, man. Like, we don't know what we are going to see at all.
At all. No clue. And imagine any rookie playing football this year. Like you just some positions are easier to transition than others, but imagine being a rookie wide receiver coming into an offense, kind of trying to learn an NFL offense in a very kind of not you're not getting the same on the field experience, or even imagine how it's going to be for Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa. Who else am I missing? That's a quarterback. I don't. Jordan Love ain't gonna start, but it's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough, man. Like, you just can't simulate real game reps like a preseason, like practice, training camp, even those scrimmages at training camp. I watch those all the time. It's not similar to preseason.
Nope.
They usually don't tackle to the ground. They're not trying to, really dig into a player when they hit them. They see the same guy over and over and over and over and over again. So you're not really seeing things really mixed up. So man, week 1, man, it is going to be something, boy. It's going to be something. And rookies, they're really going to have to show, it's really going to take like the real intelligent rookies, like super intelligent, to really shine. I wouldn't expect any rookies to really blossom early in the season. It's probably going to be late in the season, however far we get, until you see rookies really start to shine, especially like wide receivers and cornerbacks and obviously quarterbacks. It's just going to take time.
And again, getting back to our first point, the Saints have easily, I would say, the deepest roster in the NFL, without question.
Easily.
And if there is a season where you need a deep roster, this is the season for it. And we just don't know, man. With their depth at some of the positions they have, they could go down players in some positions and be like, okay, like this is like, still not that bad. Like they can still do some damage, and we don't even know how long that's gonna last.
But then you got, not only the COVID-19 thing, but injuries happen. That just happened every year. But the Saints, like we said, they have a deep roster that should be able to absorb those hits. But still, even with a deep roster, cornerback, you got to be careful there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Janoris or Marshawn gets a thigh. He gets a thigh, tightness, which with his hamstrings, which he's had issues with dating back to at Ohio State, and that's probably that's a big reason why he fell in the draft was because of that. And then what? Because I remember you texting me, I think it was last week, you were watching the Falcons game where Calvin Ridley, poor PJ. Lord,
he was cooking PJ, so they put Lattimore on him. They benched PJ and said, "Okay, let's go Crawley. Let's go to Crawley clamps. What Crawley gonna do?
Crawley coffin.
He cooked Crawley."
That has to be as a head coach or as a coach of like not just a head coach, but like I can't imagine how frustrating that is. Like how we as fans like we take it like how frustrating we get. Like I can't imagine being like a head coach and seeing it like this motherfucker.
When you have no answer,
none. So so that's a position like I can't. Janoris goes down, Lattimore goes down. Like who is the next outside corner? Like who's the next?
They don't have any. You got P-Rob, PJ, CJ. Maybe he can. It's just it's not very.
It's for them being as deep as they are, and that's why I get it. People weren't the biggest Eli Apple fans, but like I was on board with bringing him back just for depth, man. Like
just for depth, just have him in there,
because he did his thing from time to time,
Right.
On the team,
He's might not who you want starting outside for 16 games, but like to come in for 4 or 5 games, he does his job.
Yeah, so that's a position as good as they are. It's definitely it got question marks regarding like the depth because just thinking about that, like it's a scary proposition. Like it gets spooky just thinking about it.
Knock on wood. Hopefully, don't have to worry about that. But most of the other positions, they're pretty deep at, man. Like offensive line is always kind of thin, but they're pretty good. They got Will Clapp. They have forgot my boy name. Eason, they got the rookie they signed. They always kind of thin that tackle. And I know Pete can move over there, but that's kind of overrated to me, because he's not good outside.
They got Pete, and he's just very versatile. Like I hate him.
He gets whooped outside. Like, what are y'all talking about?
Like, what good is versatility if you're fucking terrible at it? Like, stop it. And people
not a good left tackle.
No.
Yes, he could line up at left tackle. Okay, yes.
Although, was it the preseason game? I don't remember what game it was. I think it was a preseason game. Speaking of going back to Clowney, he made Pete look terrible in like a preseason game we played against.
Yeah, I remember that. We were digging on Pete's ass.
And it's crazy how the game that ends the Saints season, we're also still on Pete, and they
still on Pete. To be fair though, when you look at the tape, everybody was ass on the offensive line.
Yes.
Like everybody got work.
Everybody did. Every single one of them. Every single one of them.
Yeah,
it's easy to pick on him because he's an easy target. But yes, Tyron, everybody.
Everybody down the line, even Ramchick, he even got worked. So Uh,
But we'll see how it all plays out, man. It's just
yeah, but it's happening. Football is bad.
yeah. I say that and then I make the face of little white kid that I make all the time in real life. Just some just okay. All right. But I mean, today's what training camp basically starts in like starts quote unquote in like a couple of days.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess as far as football, we won't be hearing anything for like maybe 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? There's just going to be a lot of info coming out. They haven't even signed the rookies yet. Although I expect the report to just drop.
Yeah.
They're just going to drop it like all rookies have been signed.
Can we stop with this?
Please.
Like,
Please. I
like,
don't care.
People are still reporting rookies signing their contracts like it's a big deal. Like
I guess it makes sense if it's like a top 5 pick or something. Like, okay, I guess.
I still don't fucking like it. Does
But
like
I don't care.
stop.
It's only news when they don't sign. Like,
Yes, like
when Joey Bosa holding out or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
that's news.
right. But other than that, it's not news to me. I don't care. Just
Stop
put
reporting
that
it.
at the bottom of your column somewhere.
Oh, I don't know. I guess that's one of my pet peeves, bro. Like,
Oh, I hate it, man. I've been screaming about that since when they instituted the rookie wage scale, and then year after that, they still report these rookie signings like it's breaking news.
breaking news: a rookie signs his contract that he was always gonna sign. Okay,
He's forced to sign. There's no negotiation.
Before we go, what's one thing we talked about this last time? Is there anything that worries, besides a pandemic taking place, anything that worries you upcoming about the Saints in general? Like just something that's just like, I don't know.
Really, I just want to know about injuries. I want to know where Marcus Davenport is. Is he 100%? From what I've heard, he should be ready to go. I think Rakins should be ready to go. Like if you look in, what work he had done this year, it was extensive.
Oof.
So I'm really, really interested to see where he is as far as his injury. I want to see where Alonzo is as far as his injury. So, that's what I'm really interested to see is just injured players are with their rehab, if they're ready to go day one, or who's going to be on that infamous pup list that we're going to constantly have to Nick Underhill's going to get asked 20 times a day. When can a player come off pup and all that stuff. So that's all I'm really waiting on. I want to know what the roster really looks like at the end of the day.
That's a good one. I guess it's not a work. I guess it kind of goes in the same vein along with that. You hit the defensive players, which they're obviously vital. But I look at it as if there's a healthy Alvin Kamara back, and he's back. It doesn't have to be. I know people marvel his rookie season, but man, his second season, he was out, and I saw him. I think I saw him play his second season. Was that the first season? His second season was still absolutely phenomenal in terms of what he did. I remember very vividly Wade Phillips in the first half of the NFC Championship when the offense was struggling, and basically every play on offense was like a jerk route, option route to Kamara. Corey Littleton didn't have any answers for him. The Rams didn't have any answer for him. And I remember the adjustment that Wade Phillips made in the second half. He got his defensive line to start chipping on Alvin before he went on his route.
Yep.
And I put my bias to the side when I say this, and this is someone that as me, I've watched a lot of football. When he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the NFL. And I'm not saying
Period.
running back. He's one of the best entire players in the NFL, and that is not hyperbole. So if you take a healthy Alvin Kamara and you add him to this offense where you have Mike Thomas, who is a top 3 wide receiver in the league, you finally got help with Emmanuel Sanders. You got Jared Cook, who for sure came on later. He was looking like the shits early in the season.
Bro, like I went back and looked at some of his snaps late last season, and he was doing some Jimmy Graham type stuff. Like he was hitting the seams. I mean, Drew still was playing with the little thummy thing, so we don't know what that means, how he's going to look this season. But man, if Drew back to slinging it this season, and man, him and Jared Cook don't cook.
Man, that Niners game.
Woo. Oh, man. I mean, we already know if they didn't take him out, like they did PT Cruiser.
You know what?
Think about that game when the Saints would have won that game, man.
It's funny. I get into an argument with my girl because she was like, "That wasn't a dirty hit," and I'm like, "You know what?
Come on.
Stop it.
Come on, Dante Hittner. Hey.
No,
I'm talking about Kittle. Oh, you're talking about Jared Cook.
But still, yeah.
Yeah. It was a football hit, but afterwards they were like, yeah, thank goodness that dude ain't coming back. They didn't ever ask for him.
They didn't. They had no, and it's so crazy. Like I know we talked about this in the last pod episode. Like I saw that game and I just went in thinking like the Chiefs and Travis Kelce was just going to cook them, and it wasn't the case. But no, they had no answers for him. So you take a rookie or second season Alvin Kamara, you throw him back in this offense. Besides having a offensive line performance similar to the Vikings, like I don't know how you stop this offense. I really don't.
Yeah.
If you have Alvin back to him being himself, I don't know how you stop it.
Yeah, I was on the End Zone podcast with my buddy Eric. He had me on to kind of talk NFC South, and he was like, okay, kind of sell me on the Saints offense. And when I went to just running it down to him, you start with Drew Brees, then you got Mike Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. That's your number 2. He was a fan of Traquan Smith. Let's say Traquan Smith kind of turns the corner as like a 700-yard receiver, which is not out of the realm of possibility. You got Traquan. Then you got Devontae Smith.
I wish shit.
who wants to take off into the take part in the offense a little more. Then you got Taysom Hill, who we always forget, but who is a legitimate pass catching weapon and running back weapon.
Legitimate.
Then you got Alvin Kamara. Oh, Latavius Murray, the dude had like what 3 100-yard rushing yards. 100-yard rushing games last year, like while Kamara was hurt, and he can catch out the backfield. Oh, and you got like Ty Montgomery, who is like, a decent pass catching running back. Then you got Jared Cook, Adam Trautman, Josh Hill, and you got a good offensive line. Like if Drew Brees, pop that ACH, steroids, whatever you got to do to keep that arm running. Like the offense could cook, and you have a defense.
Yes.
So, like, come on, man.
Like, and it's funny too, because you and I don't really get excited about like the season started and stuff like that anymore. Like it's just like old hat to us. But if there's one season, I'll never enter a stage of depression because of a football team ever again. But if there's one a Saints football team that will excite us in terms of the potential, it's this one.
Yeah.
It's this one.
Yeah, it's no question.
And of course, it happens this year out of all years.
Like, why, man? Why can't we just enjoy this?
It's probably for the best. Maybe it's God's way trying to keep us, disconnected.
The only way I truly let loose, though, man, if they make it to the Super Bowl. If they make it to a Super Bowl,
oh yeah,
I'm just gonna enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, of course,
I'm letting loose because that's just like you got to be thankful as a sports fan when your team makes a championship. You just got to be thankful and enjoy it, man.
Yeah,
like,
not everyone's like Greg, and you.
Yeah. Greg, like, it's just another game. We already. I'm tired. I'm kind of tired of them winning. So you know how Greg is. But
yes, that is true. But we'll see what happens, man. As quote unquote training camp begins underway, we'll start putting some more episodes out. The goal is, if there is, there's gonna be a season, for sure. We don't know how long it's gonna last, but there's a hashtag Saints Twitter Fantasy Football League, and have some fun, with some of the listeners. I think Ryan had played like in 2 of the leagues that Nick and I did back in the day, and I think you had the first pick as well.
Yep.
And did you take Shady? I want to say you took Shady, and you like regretted it.
Was it Shady? Whoever it was, I think he got injured like the first game or something.
I just remember you being hot. But we, our plan is to have fun with it. We have some more things in the pipeline down the line. Like I said last week, last time we recorded, only Ryan and I would start a football podcast during the pandemic. But
yeah,
but here we are. But with that, we just wanted to touch base, have some fun, put an episode out. We're not gonna, we think we hit on everything we need to hit on. For people who were reaching out to Ryan, like worried about my safety because I wasn't on Twitter for a bit, I appreciate it. Like I said, I took a little Twitter detox, and I just think in a time like this, it's just necessary to just get your mental right, as Marshawn said. But I'm back in stuff, so I appreciate it. That was kind, because I know people were hitting him up. So with that, we're going to get out of here. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at ThatBoyWolf. With that, we're out.
Peace.
Catch those springtime vibes all over Arizona. Break out of the winter blues by hitting the water at one of our lake and river parks. Take a hike among the wildflowers. Just make sure to stay on the trails and leave the flowers for the bees. Discover Arizona's best kept secret and visit azstateparks.com/amazing to start your springtime adventure.
O'Reilly! Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.